banners thrown in the works. But Booney is playing Gragas top. You've got a Kale support as well for Super Ace, who is somewhat known for his Kale support. I mean, checked his history and such, and he has played this a bunch of times. But still, it's not something we see a great deal of. Now, having a look at this composition, I'm expecting that Abunia is going to build a very tanky Gragas, because if he doesn't, they're not going to have much tankiness elsewhere on the board.
Yeah, we used to see pre-nerf Gragas top like a reasonable amount. Like occasionally it would happen, and didn't really like it particularly. But the reasons that it did work was that it was like a huge amount of burst you could build into a composition. You'd have Gragas with like his ridiculous AP ratios that he had then, and so much damage. So if you snowballed ahead, you could just give the enemies pretty much easily with a very fed mid laner as well. Thing about Gragas' nerfs, though, is that his AP ratios got cut severely, so I have to agree with you. He's probably going to have to build tanky this game. You're not going to get the same level of burst out of this one.
Because originally, when Gragas was first incorporated into League of Legends, he was somewhat of a bruiser. He was that kind of top lane. We used to see players like Shushay, even though they built him kind of ability power focus, would still build very tanky and kind of bruiser in the way that they approach the game. So they're going to be looking for this 1v2 actually. Gragas should do pretty well in this environment. He has a lot of natural regen, both health and mana, so he's going to be able to just force away the minions with his barrels and try and keep this tower alive.
Yeah, and he also picked up a wolf camp, so he's got a little bit of experience. But it's interesting that we're not seeing any of the 3v1s, we're not seeing any of the 4v0 pushes so far today. And what we are seeing, however, is Gamers2 and Kikis right now moving their junglers down to this bottom lane. I'm really not sure there's going to be a dive here, but it's going to be basically a wave clear fight for a while.
Yeah, you're going to have that strange confrontation where just a few auto attacks every creep wave going to come off from Yugi, but this is leaving Irelia in a 1v2 at top lane. He's getting poked down, but doing a really nice job of keeping that tower alive and kicking.
There is better wave clear, of course, on Gragas in this 2v1 setting than there is on Irelia, and it's especially true when you've got two people defending the tower. But, of course, experience advantages will be gained by Gamers2 in this situation. And there's the other factor, of course, which is that the tower is tankier for Gamers2 in this top lane. There is still that damage reduction from basic attacks in that top lane tower, and still doesn't apply to the bottom. So, well, it's going to be actually a little bit interesting to see who wins that race out. Right now, JWoww is recalling just so he can get that teleport in for a bit more health.
Yeah, he desperately needs to get an extra Doran's Blade it's actually going to be, and some more health potions, so he'll come back up to top lane with the teleport, and he's looking pretty nice at the moment. Also, it's important to note that JWoww is not going to be that bothered. In fact, I thought Morden's coming top lane.
Yes, he is. Woolite could be the one in trouble here, but it actually looks like they're switching focus, whiffing the Q after the flash of Super Rays there. So, close. Maybe if that cord caught on, they could have followed it up. But Morden's not done yet. He's actually chasing this in. Goes for the E. Goes for the slow, but tower's a little bit too close.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that if Irelia's tower falls and the creeps are pushing to the second tower, Irelia's pretty okay with that, actually. Wants the free farm, wants to be able to build up some items, so it's not a completely lost cause for JWoww and Gamers2 even if they do lose this early tower.
That's definitely true, but it looks like at the moment Gamers2 intend to just stick around and keep holding onto this tower. And the interesting thing about the way that they've chosen to do this is because they've rotated up their jungler later on than this bot lane Kickers has, they've actually got kind of an advantage. They've got a much stronger all-in, and that's actually being used to threaten Woolite and Super Ace away from the tower. Now Lee Sin's actually gone off to farm some jungle, and they'll push up, but then he can return to the top lane and threaten them away from the tower again to get JWoww the farm.
Yeah, Morden is lurking again though, so maybe thinking about another engage. However, 2v2 with JWoww low on HP, well, pretty low, I mean, about half. It's quite dangerous for Morden to go in. I agree with this decision now to back away and not bother with that engage. I feel they'd have come out second best, and JWoww had a lot of taste of how that felt in the last game.
Yes, indeed. Now Kikis in the bot lane taking a lot of damage. Don't know exactly what hit him there. Probably a Karma Q.
Top.
My guess, and indeed there is an engage in top. Super A's in a lot of trouble. Goes low, but the exhaust keeps him alive. But again, Morden and JWoww all in to prevent the tower from falling. And in bot lane, they're just stuck being poked down.
I'd just like to touch on this composition as well that we're seeing a lot more of. Lane and IQ should be alright, so I'll switch it back to bot lane. The reason why I feel that Karma and Graves are such a good combination is that Graves suffers because of his small attack speeds. Attack range. In fact, I thought
Have to
Babuni's
hold
not
that thought. Yeah, Babunia now going to be in trouble. Got rooted. Yuki chasing this down, getting some auto attacks out, but Kikis is here. He's actually turning around, going in, lands the slow from his Q. Can Kikis get in range? Uses the summoner heal to get the movement speed and a little bit of health that he may be needing in the near future. Exhaust comes down on Babunia. Kikis wants to chase this. They're getting these slows down, but they just can't quite close it out. But Dude now, he's the one in trouble. Flashes out, going very, very low. Can they finally pick this up? Flash in, but Babunia may have gone a little bit low here. Kikis is looking for the second kill, but he will get it, but he will die for it. So,
Blue team double kill.
worth, I guess. Babuni gets first blood, but Graves gets the double kill, and that's going to be a BF sword for him. So, yeah, I think both teams are going to be both happy and disappointed with that, if it makes sense. There's good and bads for both sides. Regardless, though, I mean, Karma and Graves, such a good combination because of the speed up that Karma allows Graves means he can get in and out again to land his auto attack, something he struggles with. JWoww will be alright, but the tower has fallen. And the second thing as well is that when Inner Flame lands from Karma, that pretty much sets up Graves perfectly for his Q ult combo, so the buckshot and the collateral damage can both come in. So, I really like this combo, and you're seeing it come to fruition time and time again at the bot.
yeah, it's a super difficult lane to deal with, like as a 2v1 or a 2v2, but I think especially as a 2v1, they're not going to dive you particularly, but they're just going to poke you out so hard. I think that's basically what the problem Gragas had in the bottom lane. That's why Kikis had to go down there so early. But as it is now, roughly equal between the two teams. Gamers2 did come out a little bit better on the gold front. They've got a bit more farm on Irelia. And I would expect that Irelia is also going to be a bigger presence in this game, like a bigger split pushing threat and a bigger team fighter. But it remains to be seen because I just don't really know how well Babunia is going to be doing.
Yeah, and what I meant before about it's both good and bad for both teams is that they got caught initially, did Gamers2, from a very sloppy, over-aggressive play that they probably didn't need to make. But then after that, they played it so well. You saw that the kiting came out from Karma, they exhaust perfectly on Gragas just as he was about to land some more damage, and then they over-aggressed and over-committed on the kill and allowed Yuki to get double kills. So even though they got first blood and a kill on their Kha'Zix, Yuki with the BF Sword is such a big early item for Graves because it conjuncts with both his ultimate and his Q very nicely. It allows him to burst even more. So that's the reason why I'm saying that both teams are both going to be happy and sad with what happened. However, Dragon is going to get picked up for Gamers2.
Yeah, Gamers2 playing Skyrim. They will be able to just easily take down Dragon, making it rather more of a utilitarian thing. All of that didn't like Skyrim. So, Babunia is going to be just moving away from this bot lane right now because he's a little bit scared of Dude. If he gets rooted, that could be a problem for him. But actually, right now, I'm going to keep an eye on the mid lane because Ocelot could be in trouble here. Getting slowed down, but the spear misses. We have got the teleport coming in, and Morden. This is suddenly looking like an awkward place to be if you're called Kikis. He gets knocked up, and he gets ulted. He's taking so much damage on that invulnerability, but it just isn't going to be enough. Woolite has come in this last second here, but it's not going to be enough himself. And that will just result in a one-kill there advantage. Morden forced away, so they could be able to siege the tower.
Oh my goodness, NIQ very nearly got lucky as JWoww walked into the spear face first. Very nice play from Ocelot, playing the quintessential flirt there in mid, baiting out and teasing them and made them overextend. So Ocelot pretty much made that play. Again though, Morden is always in the right place at the right time. It's almost like he's got a sixth sense for when to gank. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's the sign of the really good junglers, is the counter gank. It's when they know what the enemy jungler is doing, in addition to what the lanes are doing, and they can just be in the right place. Yuki playing along there, I think, with the game of catch the spear, but just teasing his way out of the way at the last second.
Well, these kind of siege situations are always going to favour Nidalee every day of the week. So, at the moment, denial.eu are okay with this. They're okay with keeping their players in mid, keeping the Graves, Lulu, and also Karma busy while Gragas gets some free farm at top. The only downside, however, is that Irelia is also getting free farm. So at some point, they're going to have to make a judgment call. With Dragon not being available, I feel it's going to be in mid for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and I've got to say as well, an Irelia that gets really far ahead of the curve is just terrifying because she becomes so high on damage. I say that her damage, sustained damage, is lower than other bruisers in the long term, but if she gets ahead of the curve, that doesn't matter. And she's also still got her terrifying burst, and she's got her tenacity, and she's got her tankiness. So she just becomes this a monster that can destroy your team, and is also very difficult to get away from, which is the biggest factor there. Because that's the one thing that I think people do forget about when they compare Aurelia to Jax, is the tenacity, because that does help her team fighting tremendously. Jax can be kited, Aurelia, not so much.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I often refer to Aurelia as a huge anti-AD carry champion, because she can stick to your AD like glue, and it's very difficult to get rid of her. Similar to the likes of an Olaf with constant undertows landing. Ooh, Yuki is eating quite a bit. LIQ's getting to that stage with just the Chalice of Harmony and Double Doran, where he is chunking players. He's going to be going back to spawn, and I assume he's got a lot of gold to spend. Yeah, 1.7k.
Pretty significant amount of gold to be sitting on right there, but a lot of people right now are spending, backing, all the rest of it. Much more tactical game so far. And when I say tactical, what I really mean is everyone's just shoving mid lane, and NIQ is pretty much just sat there trying to get lucky with his team. But Ocelot may be about to be caught here. Kikis looking for that, does get the slow from his passive, but it's not going to be enough. Interesting thing to note here though, Gamers2 have like a worse team for stealth. Like, if you're against that as stealth, you have a horrible time, because Lulu can E you, Karma can W, and Lee Sin can E you, and all these things will reveal cards.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be difficult for him to play the stealth game. He's going to have to be more like a ninja, or just jump in there and crunch people down. NIQ very nearly going to fall.
He just tanked a ton again on that ultimate from Super A's there. Like, really, really solid ult so far from Super A's. But yeah, I've got to say, right now, it's a little bit strange that Gamers2 seem to be the ones winning out in this sieging and pushing situation. And it is partly because NIQ is out of mana. I mean, that is always a factor, but you don't normally see the Nidalee team being pushed back in a siege situation 2 versus 3.
Yeah, that is true, but the thing is that Graves is actually very good at sieging as well, and I know it sounds crazy because of how short-ranged he is, but Buckshot doesn't have a huge cooldown. Oh, kill! Morden!
Hey! He just came in
there?
from behind, didn't see that at all, but he's just going to ride the train out, and they are going to be able to go for this tower now. They will take this, and got to be careful if you're Woolite, because JWoww wanted him. He did save his dash, though, which was very, very wise.
That was in the blink of an eye he picked up that kill. But what I was going to say is Graves is actually pretty good at sieging, especially with Lulu, because Lulu can put the help picks on him. And the Q buckshot plus collateral damage is very good for poking. However, Engage is going down.
Yeah, indeed, JWoww gets focused out almost before it begins there. Babunia rooted, but that's not going to do much. Bit of AoE damage, though, going down, and you've got to be careful here. Gamers2 looking for the re-engage to get Wild Growth on Morden, who's going to chase this down. Babunia actually scumbags and allows the Q to land on NIQ, who gets taken out. Kikis abandoning ship with all he's got. Woolite going to get ulted, going to keep himself alive for as long as possible, and Kikis, in the meantime, is dueling Morden. He's going to take him down. Woolite going back over to Yuki, chasing that one down, and he will flash for the final hit there. So that is 2 for 3 actually there in the favor of Denial, and it was Gamers2 that chose the re-engage.
Yeah, the problem there is twofold. One is that they heavily focus Babunia, and it's not to say that Gragas is doing no damage, but he is their tank. I mean, look at his items. He is building tanky, and they focused him for a good 5 or 6 seconds, which allowed Woolite at the back lines to do as much damage as possible. He then got interventioned by Kale and was able to consistently put that damage out. They didn't pick up the kill. Kale used Exhaust at the end on top of Yuki and forced him backwards. So a very well-played team fight from denial.eu, but poor focus, in my opinion, from Gamers2.
Uh-oh, dude. He's out on the Great Escape. He may actually get away from this. He's fast, but is he fast enough? Yes, he is. And Ocelot is also fast enough to dive in the way of a flying javelin. So that's fortunate. Still looking for the speculative spear, but NIQ now going to get chased down, gets flashed on, gets insect, gets taken down like he wasn't even there. I don't know why I say that phrase. It doesn't even have any real meaning, but Kikis did just jump out of there, and it will be okay.
I guess because it was so seamless, it was like no effort because he wasn't there. I don't know if that's what you're going for.
I guess.
But
I'm glad you understand what I'm saying.
He actually got Dragon's Raged onto Dude, who died for no reason. So it was a 1-for-1 trade and really shouldn't have been. NIQ stayed around for way too long, was far too greedy, and got paid pay for that with his life. But again, dude should have just backed away. There was no need for him to be there. They were definitely going to secure the kill. And just a head scratcher.
Yeah. Well, at least we've had just about as many head scratches going each way as the other, because now goal difference is absolutely minimal. Hale. Could find Ocelot. Just leaving his own jungle there. Don't know. Oh, whatever. What are you doing in my farm? But I have no idea why Kale is a farmer.
Did you just channel your inner drunk there, Spud?
Yes. Let's just say that.
Did you channel your inner Gragas?
Yes. That's the only reason I can assume, because Kale just like ignored the person in his own land, and he's just like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, he says, breathing back in, taking a glass of water and a slice of plain bread. NIQ right now is in the mid lane. He is pushing out. There's nothing really actually going on, to be honest, at the moment. If we're going to be honest, they're pushing waves. That's about it.
Yeah, it has turned into that farming simulator almost. And you actually sounded a bit like a farmer for a few seconds there as well. A drunk farmer.
That's what I was going for, but then you said drunk, and I was like, was it that bad? Did he not even get what I was trying to go for?
You were slurring your words, so I thought drunk farmer maybe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Which I guess is that, we've got Gragas and we've got plenty of farming, so that's pretty apt to what we're seeing right now. It feels a lot later in the game than 17, nearly 18 minutes, to be fair. But that's just the state of the game. Look, Babuni's doing no damage. Yeah, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, he's not built AP though. Look at him. He's got Sunfire Cape and Chalice and Adoran's. Okay, he's sort of built AP, but not really. He's half cast in that respect. But Kick is going to be flashing out over the wall. He'll be able to get himself out. But Gamers2, if they get away from this, they've essentially gotten a kill for, or a tower kill for nothing. Although the spear does land. Morden's going to kick him away. Will be able to try and get himself out. But Kick is chasing down. But has he gone a little bit too deep here? Apparently not. He feels fairly confident. Kikis does get ulted by Kale, and Morden wants to jump back out. He will not be able, even though he will be able to, but for all this fighting that's going on, no one on Gamers2 is recalling, and look at the bottom lane. That tower is going to drop.
I do not understand Morden's decision to go back in. That was really weird. He forced the wild growth from Lulu, and intervention came out as well, but as he said, that bought up enough time for Woolite to just push bot lane and get another tower. This is very reminiscent of the previous game, actually, Spud. Very close. Lots happening. Ocelot's been caught in mid.
Yeah, flash in from Super A's, lands the Reckoning, setting up the team who pick up Ocelot. Pretty summary execution there.
But look at the vision right now from Gamers2. They had this ward on River warded, but apart from that, no vision around Ocelot's vicinity, and he was still pushing. Again, vision's key, and Ocelot is a super experienced veteran, very highly skilled player, but we've seen him make mistakes like this a number of times, and it's cost his team big.
Yeah, I mean, back in Season 2, nobody cared about Vision. No, I mean, they cared about Vision, but no, I think people were a lot less clever about how they used Vision back in the day, honestly. Like, people tended to just, like, form up for team fights and then go for a team fight. Like, actually, there was a funny one as well about Froggen. I think he was like in an interview with Thorin. Like, one of the things he said was the reason CLG.eu was really good back in the day was because they ran like ulti wombo combo comps, and no one ever pressured them when their ults were down. They were just like, yeah, whatever. We'll just wait for your Malphite ult to come back up with the Orianna ult, and that apparently was like literally their entire secret for that entire time.
Well, that brings up an interesting topic though, Spud, that you should play to your opposition's weaknesses. I mean, that's just 101 of any tactical play in any sport or game or whatever, or even war for that matter. And at the moment, the way I see it is that Gamers2 aren't really factoring that in.
Yeah, speaking of which, yeah, Kikis is going to go for JWoww now. He's got the slowdown, but Kikis got to be a little bit careful. JWoww gets out. Tenacity too strong. Aurelia too fast.
So what I was going with that point, well, actually, it's like NIQ doesn't want me to actually speak. He's
every spear
trying to engage.
Every spear forces you to stop. You're like,
because you never quite know what's going to happen. But what I was going to say is that one of the main strengths right now from denial.eu is sieging. It's poking. It's these kind of poke-centric, prolonged team fights where nothing great happens. They need to all-in engage them, I feel. They need to jump in there with wild growth and make stuff happen.
Yeah, speaking of which, those minions on the back line there. JY did just take a spear, which kind of puts pay to the whole idea of engaging. And Gamers2 really are being forced back on their heels here. And NIQ, yeah, he's hit bullshit level on Nidalee. Like, you get yourself up to like 300 AP, suddenly people just are crying bull whenever they get hit by a spear. Because damn, those things hurt.
But that's why you have to all engage them. That's the exact reason. They ate 3 javelins, that's the tower gone. And they can't afford to give denial.eu enough time to land those spears. They have to be aggressing. They have to be dictating the pace of this game, or they're going to lose slowly but surely.
I think they were looking for an engage, but then JWoww took that spear, took himself down to half health, and then they couldn't look for the engage anymore, which basically sacrificed the tower. But now they're on full health. They want this. They've got the movement speed, remember. They've got Karma. They've got JWoww, who's pretty quick on his own merits, and they've got Lulu. And actually now they're cutting them off. Woolite, he's going to have to jump over the wall, duty. Yeah, there we go. Nice shot. Unfortunately, your support Karma, so you don't do any damage. But they are going to keep going for this mid tower. Waiting for the engage here, but it's not been coming, and the culling comes down. They will disengage.
They have a great composition, though, denial.eu, to dictate the pace of the game. They got the poke, and they've also got great wave clear and disengage from Baboonia. So across the board, their composition is really proving to be reaching that level where you can't really deal with it, Spud. You know, heads you win, tails I lose kind of mentality going in. And Gamers2, again, they tried to force the envelope, push the envelope on the mid lane, and just get forced back.
Indeed, we're actually seeing the speculative spears once again looking for the steal, but it will be Kikis that picks it up, not Ocelot. And indeed, we now have the engage coming over the wall. Baboonia getting in there with the explosive cast, the chase off of the 3 members on the lower side. Baboonia flash knocks them up, but will that work for him? I'm not convinced, but it will do, because Woolite just gets one, chases down Dude, looking for the second, picks it up with his W. NIQ now onto JWoww under this tower. They want to chase it, but he flashes over the wall, gets himself out of there, and I have no idea what was going on in the other section of the fight. Kikis now looking for the fight with Ocelot, but that is not going to work out for you, sir. They actually go for the counter engage. Ocelot gets out of there, but not enough distance. Now being chased by Baboonia. Sunfire Cape is ticking. NIQ looked for the spear, couldn't get it. Ocelot, will he survive? I have no idea what's going on elsewhere, but it will be a kill on Ocelot. And now Morden in trouble. Will he get Kikis? No, he won't.
That was a cluster of action. Nearly said a bad word. I managed to.
Yeah, you did. That was the last possible second you could have aborted, I think, there.
Yeah, I was like, that was a cluster mess of stuff happening.
That was a cluster fudge.
Yeah, there you go. You just saved me, thanks. Baron's been picked up, but that pretty much shows that the engaging potential and also cleanup potential right now of denial.eu is on another level to that of Gamers2. Really nice barrel. Explosive cast knocked everybody in different directions. It landed right in the center, right in the epicenter of Gamers2. And they were allowed to pick off a couple players. They forced back Yuki, who ended up dying without doing much damage, and basically put Gamers2 in a horrible, horrible position. I don't want to call the games over yet, but this is an Everest climb for Gamers2. I can't see how they're going to bounce back.
We never saw a goal gap this big last game, and that's just a huge issue for them, because now when they're behind, if they can't seek an engage, then they get poked down. But if they seek an engage and they lose, then they just have no choice but to either lose or lose. It's what you said, it's heads you win, tails I lose. It's a terrible situation to be in, and right now Gamers2 are doing the best they can by pushing out with JWoww in the top lane. But they need to somehow keep NIQ from grouping with his team.
That's it. They have to try and somehow get a pick on a pick-based composition, which is never an easy situation to find yourself in. But that's pretty much what's laying ahead of them, because in a straight 5-5 fight, we saw what happened there. They got crushed. If they allow NIQ to land a couple spears, they're going to get crushed. So they have to try and make something happen out of thin air, and that is the most difficult thing to do in League of Legends, actually, Spud, when you have to try and force an issue that you're always going to come out second best on. Oh, that javelin was close.
Yeah, but sometimes you have to choose like an unfavorable matchup. Like you have to choose a situation where it's like 70% chance you're going to lose, just because if you choose that, it's better than choosing the situation 5 minutes down the road where you've got a 90% chance you may lose. So you may see Gamers2 go for the desperation engage. They're actually looking, I think, for the desperation pick in the top lane. They have Morden And yeah, I heard the tingling noise of someone going low, and yes, indeed, a spear did land.
Indeed, and that was through a shield as well. He got chunked that hard. Culling comes through. Yuki's has to back away, and they're doing so much damage to this mid tower. In fact, they're going to pick it up.
Yeah, it's just so crushing against this level of damage here, and Morden has no way out of here. He can't quite reach for his W, and in fact, he used it on himself anyway. Woolite picks him up. They will be able to get the inhib here. We're seeing the recall from JWoww to kind of try and stem the tide, join up with his team here, but I'm thinking we're going to be seeing 1-1 pretty shortly. Woolite wants that kill. He will actually go a little bit deep for that, though. Does get ulted by Kale, of course, though, and gets the return kill onto Graves. Teleport comes in, and the surrender vote comes in. Kikis wants that explosive cask. Yeah, take that.
Yep, that is a clinical performance from denial.eu, bouncing back to make this a 1-1 in this best of 5, so it's still early days for both teams, but I have to feel after that one, you either have to ban Nidalee away from NIQ, or Ocelot needs to pick it, because Ocelot is a very good Nidalee player himself,